Innovation and discovery are key to Young Living as a company and a long-standing part of Gary Young's legacy. My father was a steward of the land, a businessman, and an avid inventor. And some of the methods and machines that he gave us are still protected by patents that live on. Today, we are diving deep into the innovative side of Young Living. Hello and welcome to Young Living's podcast, The Wild Drop. My name is Jacob Young, your host. Young Living is a world leader in producing and distributing premium essential oils, and this podcast will provide you with drops of information about Young Living, including stories, history, product information, lots of little fun facts, and even more. We have Chris Patterson, our senior corporate counsel, here on the podcast for the very first time. Chris, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
We are so happy to have you. So, Chris, explain, what do you do and how long you've been doing it for and what got you into it?
I'm really happy to be here at Young Living. And the story of how I got to Young Living actually happens about 20 years ago when my brother was suffering from some serious health conditions, and he moved back to Utah. And Gary and Mary Young showed up on the doorstep to see what they could do to help him out. And that was meaningful to me, even though it was so long ago, but it was just something that I kind of noted in my mind. And I also know that, Mary helped my mom with other health issues, and this caring, despite their very busy lives and everything that they were doing, especially with even young kids at that time, right? But they took the time to welcome somebody and see what they could do to help them, not only just from a health perspective, but just, welcome to the neighborhood and what can we do to help you? And so kind of opened up a place in my heart. The other thing that really attracted me to Young Living, I guess there's two, is that, I note how the military is treated, and that's a special place in the Young's heart as well. And there's always a military discount offered at all of the events that happen on the Young Living farm. And I'm retired from the National Guard, having spent over 20 years there as an intelligence officer. And so that's meaningful to me from that part-time perspective. And then finally, our chief legal officer, Kevin McMurray, is somebody that I worked with in the past in two different companies. And when there was an opportunity to come to Young Living and an opportunity here, I jumped at the chance and applied for a position. So very, very happy to be here and kind of have this legacy that I'm now able to be a part of instead of just hearing about it.
Love that. First off, thank you so much for your service. Really appreciate it. And for those of you listening who may be in the service or were in the service, thank you so much for your service as well. We really appreciate that. And that's awesome. Such a fun story. And, you're really close by as far as like living wise to my parents as well. So it's fun that, we're neighbors and whatnot. So that's really fun. Chris, explain to me what all these papers are in front of you. We don't have the cameras on today, but there are a lot of papers in front of you today. And they look like fun papers, very fun papers.
They are. Yeah, we'll have to get a couple of pictures of these up for the podcast or something, because these are official documents from the United States government, from the director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And so we have a lot of patents that have been issued to Young Living as applicant and as owner. And we also have a lot of patent applications that have been filed by Young Living, and all of them show innovation and dedication to coming up with new ways to bring the very best from the plant into an essential oil and into your homes. And that's the part that is real meaningful to me, is because a patent grants certain privileges and rights that the government gives you. This is actually what the patent language says. It says, grants to the person having title to this patent the right to exclude others from making, using, offering for sale, or selling the invention throughout the United States of America, or importing the invention into the United States of America. And if the invention is a process, of the right to exclude others from using, offering for sale, or selling throughout the United States of America, or importing into the United States of America products made by that process for the term set forth. And the term is actually it's 20 years from the date of application.
Yeah.
So when we look at our earliest patent application that we received a patent for, that was 2011. So those patents, they go 20 years from the date of application. That means they're still alive and well.
Yeah.
So with, Gary having been listed as an inventor of 14 patents, his legacy, his inheritance that he's given to all of us is that these patents continue valid and enforceable well beyond his passing.
Yeah.
And so it's an amazing story that we have. And everything that anybody can go and look up at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, they can go and do a search, and they can find different things about the patents that have been issued. And can I tell you just briefly, maybe a little bit about how a patent is set up and how you talk about them?
Please do.
So I'll use as an example the what I call the blue spruce patent, or the composition containing an essential oil product and method for using such to maintain normal levels of testosterone. It's applicable to both men and women. But when you have a U.S. patent issued to you, it goes to the name of the inventor, and so it's called the Young patent. And so that's how they kind of list it here on this document, is that they say Young up on the very top, and then they'll have the patent, and then they'll have the patent number. And since, Gary Young has 14 different patents he's listed as an inventor of, you'll have multiple Young patents, and then usually you'll say the last 3 numbers of the particular patent. So, yeah.
So Young 653
exactly
would be this patent.
That's how the attorneys would talk about it.
Awesome.
Yeah. The Young 653 patent.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I knew my dad was an inventor. He was always inventing stuff. And so it's just, I honestly have never seen any of these documents. I don't believe so. Nor have I seen an official patent document either. So that's really, really cool to see.
It is. And there's really 2 kinds of patents that Young Living has. One is what we call the utility patent, which is either a method or a composition. So it's I've invented a new way of doing things, or if I was to take Jell-O and I was to put it on my hair and discover that it helped my hair grow better, that could be a new invention. Even though everyone knows all about Jell-O, right?
Yeah.
So even though there's plants that have been around for thousands of years, when you discover a new way of using a plant to better a human life or a pet life or whatever it might be, that's a patentable method, right? And the other way is that people will have a composition where they'll say, hey, I'll take an essential oil comprised of this plant, and I'll combine them together. And I've noticed that there's synergistic effects when the 2 of them are combined together. And I know that there's a lot of thought that has gone into that when, Gary and Young Living have come up with different blends. Not only are you looking for aromatherapy, but you're also looking for synergistic effect of how the plants work together to have a better impact on what they do. So that's kind of the 2 things with the utility, composition, and method. And then they also have design patents. So,
okay.
About our lantern. In every lobby right now, we have the brand new fall, scents out. They're in the lobby, and I think it's Cozy Cabin that we're smelling today.
Yep, Cozy Cabin.
And the lantern is a patented design so that no one else can have that design of a diffuser. Because that was a unique invented design.
It's a beautiful diffuser.
It is.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's the light and everything there is amazing. So that's another, and I believe on that patent, that's both your mom and dad that are listed as inventors. Both Gary and Mary Young are inventors for that particular patent. So that's
super cool.
Design patent has a little bit shorter time period of protection. It's usually 14, 15 years, but it's great because it distinguishes who you are as a company and your innovation, and protects it from other people, trying to use it.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I knew that the design patent was a thing, but I didn't know the method patent was an actual thing either. I can't remember what the movie is, but it was a movie about the man who invented the windshield wiper and how it was automated and how Ford stole it from him and whatnot. And every time when it comes to patents, that's like the first thing that my mind goes to is that movie. And a lot of people ask, why are patents important? And I always tell them, go watch that movie and you'll understand why patents are important. And so just like you were talking about, this patent, all these patents that we have, they're safe and they're guarded, meaning that we, once again, are industry leading with all these patents that we have, with the way that we, harvest and take care of the plants, the methods that we use for our products and stuff. So I think that's so fantastic that we have all of these as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Jacob, and this is perfect to talk about because the question that I always ask people when they're talking about how great their company is, whatever their company might be, is I'll say, oh, really? Well, tell me about the R&D team. Tell me about the science based on your company. Tell me how many patents have been issued to your company, right? So I can say that Young Living has been issued 17 patents by the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Really quickly, what's like an average amount of patents for an individual or a company as a whole? Do you know what that average would be?
So it depends. I can tell you that right now in the state of Utah, for all network marketing companies, Young Living has more patents than any other company.
That's awesome. That's a great bragging right there.
It is. It is. And this is publicly available. You can go and search every company that you want to research, and you can go and search in the USPTO and see how many patents they have. Mm-hmm. You can see who the inventor is, who actually owns the patent, who's listed as the assignee or the applicant. You can find all that information. So, and you can take multiple companies that are network marketing companies, combine them together, and they still don't equal the number of patents that Young Living has.
Oh my goodness. That just shows how brilliantly minded my dad was. And everybody here at we have so many brilliant minds here at Young Living. It's crazy. Every podcast episode that we do with somebody is such a reward for me, because even though I've spent my entire life, in this company, there's still things that I'm learning still. Like today with all these patents. I knew we had some patents. I didn't know how many patents we had or how many we had submitted. And so it's just fantastic to see all of that. So we talked about how you can go onto a website and look at these patents and see what these patents are specifically. What website was that again, and what specifically can people see from going onto that website?
The short answer, I guess, is uspto.gov.
Okay.
Is the search. So it's the official United States Patent and Trademark Office. It's a government agency, and they have a searchable site. And so you click on the patent button there, and then you can search for patent applications, and you can also search for issued patents since 1977. And you can see the patents in full. The cool thing about a patent, well, it might not be cool to everybody, but this is where attorneys kind of geek out a little bit, is when you read a patent, it's very backwards. And attorneys understand this, but you start off with a patent, and we talked about, the name associated with the patent and the number, so the Young patent and, 653. But if you really want to see what the patent protects, you have to go to the very back, and they start off with claims.
Okay.
This is actually what the government protects. And so it starts off, and this is, it's almost as if I'm hearing Gary's words here. I claim is how that starts off with. And so his first claim is, I claim a topical composition for increasing testosterone levels in humans having low testosterone, the composition comprising, and then he goes into a couple of bullet points, at least 25% of the Picea pungens, the blue spruce, right? I can't even say that right. Essential oil, and essential oil comprising one or more of the different diterpenes, and a skin penetration enhancer. And so it kind of goes through all of the claims, and there's actually 8 claims related to this particular patent.
Just by reading that, I don't think you realize how many people you made happy and geek out right there.
and this is what I'd say, but wait, there's more, because that's what the government protects. But the really cool thing about a patent is that you also have an abstract. The abstract kind of gives you the synopsis of what a patent is.
Yeah.
And it has all of these prior publications, which people like to read as well, if you like research articles and things like that. But then you also go to things like the technical field. What is the technical field? The present disclosure in various embodiments relates to an essential oils composition. And that speaks to all of our hearts and minds, right?
Yeah.
Essential oils. And then it has background. And this is really cool because you're actually able to see what Young Living, what Gary thinks about essential oils, and how they came about. So he kind of just starts off, and I won't read it all because it's too long, and I'm sure you're all going to want to read it anyway.
It's a lot of pages.
It is. It says, one aspect of the invention relates to essential oils. Essential oils are natural and aromatic liquids found in the roots, stems, bark, seeds, flowers, and other parts of plants. Technically, essential oils are fat-soluble, non-water-based phytochemicals that include volatile organic compounds. And then it goes on and on and on about talking about the background of essential oils.
That is oh my goodness. That is crazy that they have this. This is a U.S. document.
Correct.
And in its sense, it has its own claims to it. Like you said, anybody can look this up. Anybody can read it. Anybody can do research. That's awesome.
We get this really beautiful, flashy certificate that comes around the entire patent. And
can I see this?
It's got this great, ribbon on it, an official embroidered gold seal, and it's from the United States government.
Wow.
It's signed by the current director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and it's really one of the most official documents that you can receive from the United States government.
So this is the patent for the rollerball.
Correct. The one you have is for the rollerball.
I had no idea that was patented.
We have several for the rollerball.
Really?
So
That is awesome.
this shows, not only did Gary care about the essential oils, but also how to get them onto your skin, how to use them. And so when we have patents for diffusers, when we have patents for rollerball applicators, all of these things are new and innovative because it shows that, Young Living came and it was like, hey, we've got all these plants. How do we get the best things out of these plants?
Yeah.
And then how do we get them onto our skin or that we're able to smell them, things like that. So, it shows the entire process.
That is so beautiful. It's very nicely weighted, and
It is.
I'm just honored holding it. So I bet patents have a pretty long process to them.
They do. They do. That's
I guess because, we don't have all the time in the world, what's like the short and sweet to get a patent patented?
So you have to have something new and novel, right? An invention. And this is the great thing is that here at Young Living, I'm able to work with our scientists, our R&D team, and they're coming up with new things all of the time. And so until we can get them patented, they are what we call trade secrets, right? So it's proprietary information that we try and keep secret so that we can then file a patent application, and we'll do R&D on it. We'll do different research subjects or research studies. And after you file for the patent, it usually takes about 18 months or so.
Oh,
For you
wow.
to hear from the government and it can take longer. It can take 5 years. And sometimes the government will come back and they'll say, hey, well, we had a question about this, or they do a thing where they call a prior art search, right? Is there some other invention or some other publication that already discloses an invention, so it's not really novel and new? So that you have this back and forth from the government. And what that means is that the government is really checking to make sure that you are indeed the first guy. And that's really cool when you have 17 issued patents, is the government has said, you are the first guy.
Yeah.
We've checked it. We have this entire process that takes months and years, and we've given it to you.
Man, I would not want to be the person that looks through all of that paperwork to see if you were the first or not. That's a lot of papers to go through.
It is. And it's not just the United States. So they'll be looking at something that might have been disclosed in Chinese traditional medicine back in the
Really?
1300s, right? And we have a thing called the Patent Cooperation Treaty where we're able to take a U.S. patent because you need to file in the United States first because that's where we're located, right? So Young Living is a United States company, so they have to file here first, but then they can, through the Patent Cooperation Treaty, they can also file in any other country that they choose to protect it there. The great thing about having a U.S. patent is that most commerce in the world runs through the United States.
Yeah.
And so you can't import or you can't build anything or you can't sell anything in the United States that would violate this patent in the United States. And so the United States probably gives you the best protection of any country.
So with all these patents that we have, 17 that have been signed, sealed, and approved, I know for a fact that we're not done, because that was just not the mentality that my dad have of, no, that's good enough, we're done now. What else are we doing as far as patents go? Do we have some in process? Like, what all is happening there?
Exactly, we do. And maybe to quote Dr. H.K. Lynn, when he talks about what Gary talked with him in the past, he was saying there's more great things within the plant. We need to figure out how to get it out.
Yes.
And so as we figure out how to get it out, many of those things are going to be novel and inventive processes on how do we get out the best things of the plants. And right now, scientists are still discovering all of the great things that are in plants. We still don't understand completely every benefit that's within every plant.
Not even close.
Right. So, you guys would go out to Ecuador and you find brand new plants people don't even know about, right? So, our R&D team is doing great things, and until they become patents, we call them trade secrets. They're proprietary secrets that we keep, and we keep just to ourselves as we figure out how to make them patents. And then when they have a patent pending, then we tell our brand partners and our customers about them. So there's more coming for sure. But wait, there's more. There's a lot more coming. And I know of two projects that I'm working on right now as far as the final patents and getting the applications finished. These are going to be amazing, groundbreaking, earth-changing events.
Oh, I'd like to
And
hear
they're gonna,
that.
Yeah, they're going to follow right along with what Gary wanted us to do.
More geeking out here.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, and I think what's even maybe as an aside, these aren't Young Living patents, but we've also found other people that have found Young Living oils, and they have made their own patent applications and received patents from the Patent and Trademark Office. So there's an additional 13 applications and or patents from third parties using either our diffusers or our patents or being cited by the United States Patent and Trademark Office about how they have found ways to use our oils in novel new methods.
My mind's blown right now. This is crazy. This is exactly what my dad wanted, is for people to take, what the earth has provided us and be able for people to go out and find something for themselves that works for them. That is so exciting. 13, you said?
Yeah.
And these are third parties. So people that are taking our products and have found a new invention or discovery by using those as well.
Correct.
Wow.
That's just to date. I don't know how many more are going to come from that, but I mean, as we have this, entire, closet full of oils that people can choose from and use, and they're finding new ways to either improve their health or their homes by using our essential oils.
That's just so exciting to hear. I love that. So with these patents, even though patents are meant to protect inventions and stuff, I know there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to want to try and copy it and just say, well, it's not exactly the same, so it's not the same. Is there a process that a person can go through to file against that person to say, hey, you are copying the invention that I have a patent on? Is there a way to protect our inventions even more so?
Yeah, it's a great question. And patent law is unique among all laws, especially in the United States, is that they have something called treble damages. And we are blessed with having hundreds of thousands of eyes and ears out amongst the world.
Yep.
And our brand partners and our customers, when they see something that, hey, that looks a lot like it might be a Young Living patented product and or, an applicator, a roller ball, or whatever it might be, when they come to us and they say, hey, this person looks like they might be infringing your patent, we can go after them and we can require a license to be paid to Young Living for their use of our patent during the time period, during the 20 years we've been granted it. And if they don't choose to pay a license fee, or if they continue to violate the patent, infringe it is what it's called, and we win in court, the court will say, okay, these are your damages. Let's say, it's $1 million. But because of the treble damages award, they times it by 3 automatically. So whatever damages are times by 3. So it's a huge disincentive for somebody to violate your patent because they can get hit with 3 times the damages that they caused to you.
Wow.
And so it's something where the government is serious about protecting your rights as a patent holder and not allowing other people to do it. And when we do come across people that, are violating our patents, then we want to hold them to task because we've spent thousands and thousands of dollars in innovation, in research and development, in coming up with these patents and making sure these oils are there. So we want to make sure that we take the full benefit of the law for Young Living.
So the real question is if we do have a brand partner or a customer or someone that would like to inform us of something that they've seen or someone that they've seen that they feel is infringing on a patent that we have, what's the best contact for them? What email do they send? Like who do they reach out to for that?
They could send an email to legal@youngliving.com and just title your subject patents or something like that, and it'll come to me because I'm over all the intellectual property. So we'll be able to see it and be able to take action. It's a great privilege that I have to work here at Young Living, and I'm here, what I see is protecting the company, but not only protecting Young Living as a company, but protecting hundreds of thousands of brand partners around the world.
Yes.
So that they also have their business that is secure and safe, and that they don't have to worry about illegal competition or people coming in and taking advantage of the great things that Young Living has that only they are entitled to as our brand partners. And that's a great thrill, is to be able to safeguard their way of life and how they want to do their business.
Protecting you and protecting the earth. That's what we do best. So we talked about all the patents that we have here, but there were some patents that were submitted but not fully signed off as a patent. What ends up happening to those, or why do they not end up getting signed off in the end?
That's a great question. And this is kind of when you get to but wait, there's more, because not only do we have 17 patents that are officially issued, but we also have 10 patents that were actually they're actually called patent applications, right? So the patent applications were filed with the United States government, and for whatever reason, either the government said, "Hey, we're not going to grant you a patent for that," or the company decided we're not going to pursue that. Right? It's not something worth our time to continue forward. But the cool thing about a patent application is that it is also publicly available. You can go in and search and see all of the patent applications that Young Living has submitted. So you can look up those 10 as well, and you can see the innovation, the creativity, the care that Young Living has for the plant from the time the seed is planted until the time that it's either diffused or applied to your skin.
I love that you brought that up really quick because I have an awesome story about a patent that was submitted. And it was I don't remember what it was called, Young something, obviously, because now I know. But it was the conveyor belt that was built underneath the swather machine that helped us harvest the Melissa. Those summers were awful and brutal. It's super hot. There's tons of bugs. And Melissa is a very sensitive plant. And so when my dad was first harvesting Melissa, obviously he'd go through with the swather, lay it on the ground, and he'd go and pick it up and notice that he just wasn't getting any oil from it. So he's like, well, I don't know. That's kind of weird. So instead what we did is we tied a big blue tarp to the back of the swather. Man, I don't know what that part's called, that piece. Yeah, the booms. And it would catch the Melissa, and then obviously we'd have to untie it after it was completely full and then pick it up and load it into the trucks. My dad noticed that it started to get oil. You can't let it touch the ground, which was crazy. But this was a ton of manual labor. And it took us a long process because we got the biggest tarps that we could, but we were going through the Melissa so quickly that we're having to stop every so often. And so we thought, well, maybe what we'll do is we'll, have the tarps, close the tarps up, cover the Melissa, put another tarp on and just go until we're completely out of tarps and then load the Melissa. We tried that. It didn't want to give us any oil with that either. Melissa is such a picky oil, right? And so my dad was like, okay, well, we have to do this more efficiently and more quickly. And so he decided to build a conveyor belt that went from the swather back up and then out into, and then it had a shooter out into a truck. And what's crazy, where I'm getting at is part of this design that my dad had was he built a whole new fork system in the front that would gather the Melissa ever so nicely and calmly that it wouldn't scare the oil out of the Melissa. I don't remember the official scientific term that my dad had for it, but he noticed the rougher that you were with Melissa, the less oil that you'd get out of it. And so talking about, how you can go back and see the history of these patents that shows the love and care and appreciation that we have for the oils and just being good stewards of the earth, seeing that in the patent that was submitted where those forks are grabbing it ever so calmly was awesome and fascinating to see. And I can't begin to tell you the amount of welding that I learned trying to build that conveyor belt. And it wasn't the best welding in the world either. And from building that conveyor belt, my dad broke his hand really, really, really badly. And it was 3 days later that we finally convinced him he needed to go to the hospital and get it checked out. But he said it needed to get done, and he got it done in 3 days. It was an amazing invention to all be done in 3 days. It was very redneck engineering. That's the best way to put it. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't great, but it worked. It worked, and it did what it was meant to do. So
that reminds me a little bit of, and I can kind of see this in my father as well, is that, one summer we spent an entire summer rebuilding a cultivator so that we could harvest wheat. Mm-hmm. And it was, a 1930s machine, and it was crazy having to rebuild that and work on that. And I think that this is probably a little bit of what your dad, Gary was doing as well, is he was actually building boys more than he was actually maybe building the machine or things like that. So, there's some of those character things, as far as, hey, we're going to go out and work hard and we're going to learn how to do all these new things, because it really doesn't matter what the end product is, but we're building boys, right? We're building relationships and hard work. And, that's, I think I also learned that my three brothers and I, we milked cows when we were growing up. And then all of a sudden, magically, when the last boy was out of the house, these milk cows all of a sudden turned into beef cows just overnight. It was magical. And so I think that my dad was, building boys and hard work. And that's something else that we can see, I think, in the legacy of innovation that Gary has left with us is building up, good character in people.
I completely agree with that. Building character, building experiences and memories, and more importantly, relationship. We talk a lot about community here at Young Living and just how everyone is so on board and so like-minded in a sense of just everyone wants the best for everyone. And we also want to be the best stewards that we can be of this earth because we only have one. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to come onto the show, share all your knowledge, your love for these patents, and just showing how amazing this whole process is and why it's so important to have these and why it's so important to do this as well. So thank you for all of that. We really appreciate your time once again and hope to have you back on the show sometime.
Thank you very much. It's been my privilege to be here. It's great to find somebody as excited about patents as I am, and newfound love, and we hope that many others will also find those. And I know that our marketing and science teams, they're coming up with a brand new page that is going to allow all of our brand partners and customers to actually go in and read all of the patents that we have. And so it's amazing. It's great things coming.
That will be great to see. And hopefully once that's up, all of y'all can geek out with the rest of us as well. So we're not the only ones geeking out. So thank you once again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And thank you for tuning into this episode of The Wild Drop. Remember, you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or online at www.youngliving.com. Don't forget to oil up Young Living family. This is Jacob Young, dropping out. Take care.